Hello guys, so Jerry speaking. Welcome to Bedtime Stories, episode number 857. Today we're with Jim Henson about book Biography release. So, in honor of the late Jim Henson who passed away 36 years ago yesterday. So let's read it out, shall we? This is what we got for us. Written by Luke Flowers. Wow, okay. Okay, here we go. This is written and illustrated by Luke Flowers. Published by Golden Book New York release. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved. Seniors. Jim Henson with the Burt Muppet. Here we go. James Maury Henson was born September 24th, 1946 in Greenville, Mississippi. Jim Henson's older brother grew up in a home filled with laughter and art. Jim's grandmother made quilts, paintings, and scraps, okay? She encouraged Jim to be creative. His dad was a wonderful storyteller. Still a storyteller, that is. Joke anyway. Jim loved hearing his stories as well as others on radio shows and the movies. See here, but you know, if you want to go straight up and hear about that, go check out my chapter 1 book that I read on Jim Henson's Biography by Brian J. Jones on my main channel. You will not miss about it. You have to be about it. Next page. Anyways, the Henson family moved to Maryland when Jim was in the 5th grade. Soon, they bought their first TV, something like that. Television was now a form of storytelling then. Okay? And Jim was fascinated by it. He loved watching variety shows featuring all kinds of performers. Okay? The programs with playable puppets was his favorite. Wow, okay. He decided he wanted to work on television. And that is what it should be in any way. The dream came true when Jim was a senior in high school. A local television station was looking for young puppeteers for the children's show. Jim made his first puppet, Pure the Rat. Wow, okay. In audition for a job, he got it. The show only lasted a few weeks. Wow. But it's long enough for a director for another television station to notice Jim's talent. He was hired to work on one more shows as a puppeteer and says biller. Okay. Oh, come on. Camera, I don't know what you're doing, but you should have focus, you know? Oh, man. Oh, man. Are you focusing, camera? Oh, man. Okay, so camera's not focusing, alright? Oh, man. You know what? I'm gonna put this down. You guys want to finish with Bedtime Stories in the bag? That one were easier. It's just... Oh, man. Hello? Camera? Oh. See, this is what I'm doing during Bedtime Stories episode. This camera is not focusing with me, and all of a sudden you get... no focus at all. Do I need more focus? Camera. Hello. See, I don't know what to do. Okay, you telling me it's not... Okay. Seriously? We're having technical difficulties, folks. It's coming from my camera's lens and... Not what to say, folks. It's just... Oh, man. Do we have... Oh, okay, I'm gonna move that. Guess we're not gonna do projects like Bedtime Stories anyway. Yes. Oh, man. Are you sure you want to do this or not? I think it's not clean. So I guess we're not gonna do bedtime stories looking like this. Hold on. I think I have trouble, folks. So the lens is not okay. So looks like I have to stand up. Okay. Thank God it's over. Okay, now we're focusing. Okay, here we go. Okay. So anyway, that makes more sense anyway. Jim was supposed to be on the entire, let's just say, having this puppeteer, and he was getting young enough. So I talked about this during my, okay. Really, dude? You're not focusing the pages right. I'm trying to focus the page and you're only, okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I talked about this during my Jim Henson Biography book on book review on my main channel, and I said that he was probably too young to do this, and he should have been doing this in the whole time frames. So he should do it anyway. So what do you do? Okay, next page. Anyways, doing some performing. Here we are. That's after minutes of technical difficulties, but there you go. In 1954, Jim was a freshman at the University of Maryland and has his own TV puppet series, Sam and Friends. It's a 5-minute long show that aired twice every week that night. Working alongside him and was a new friend named Jay Nimble. Okay? The two of them were met in the college puppetry class. They made a great team. Okay? Jim and Jane built more than a dozen puppets for the show. Jim came up with an idea to watch his performance on a monitor, then film the show. See exactly what the TV audience would see. Oh, I didn't even spit it there. But anyway, we'll see how them know what his puppet need to be, and that is television, folks. It can happen anyway. Next page. Anyways, Jim used all sorts of material to make his puppets that they want unique and fun. Good enough? So he started calling them by a fun name. Instead of puppets, his creation were the Muppets. One of Jim's favorite Muppets with the form was Kermit. Kermit the Frog, not yet the frog, that is. He was made a hand puppet from his mother's old felt coat, half of paintball balls for each eye, cut in half, that is. For these simple materials, a star was born, that is Kermit. I talked about this during my Jim's Biography book review, comic book review. Not comic book review, but book reviews on my main channel. If you look up, just go check it out. But anyway, you know what I meant. But so Jim was asked to make commercials. And that's another thing I talk about during comic reviews. Now, book reviews on my main channel. But yeah, he created 2 new puppet characters, Wilkins and Walkins. They starred in more than 100 ads for Wilkins Coffee. Jim's wacky sense of humor and eminence to tell his story in just 10 seconds made the commercials very popular. And that's the way it should be. Okay. And that's the way it should be in any way. There you go with that, folks. Next page. Anyways, then, on May 28th, 1959, Jim and Jane got married. And that's the way it happened to be, should be. Anyway, bought a house in Belleville, Maryland, and used the lower level in the Muppet making workshop. The following year, Jim graduated from college, and then the first of these 5 children were born. The Muppet family was also starting to grow. Jim hired a first-time employee to help him meet the demand for more Muppets. Audience fell in love with Jim talk show appearances, something like that. But, you know, that should make more sense anyway. Thanks to the funny songs and his Muppets will say, Jim traveled to New York, much to work for work. Oh my god. He decided to move his family there in 1963. That same year, his son Brian was born. The Muppets family also had new members to help design, build, and perform puppets with Jim. And that's the way it should be anyway. So that's the Jimmy Dean Show, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go. Can you stop? I'll stand up. Hang on. Anyway, there we go. I'll sit down. That makes more sense anyways. There you go with that, folks. Next page. Anyways, there you go. When the Children's Television Workshop wanted to develop a new show for kids called Sesame Street, they knew Jim was perfect for the job. He created a neighborhood full of colorful cream characters, something like that. The most impressive Big Bird, something like that anyway. An 8-foot tall, full-body puppet. Jim enjoyed performing with best friends Bert and Ernie and his real-life friend like Fred Gause. Now, I talked about Fred Gause in the early times before Sesame Street came out during book reviews. I don't get to stop saying comic reviews. They're not what that's called when I do Jim His Biography book. But anyway, Sesame Street went on the air on November 10th, 1969, something like that. Anyway. And the show continues to bring sunny days to kids all on the planet. Wow, okay. And that makes more sense anyway. Jim loved when his children would visit the Sesame Street set. Kids loved playing with the puppets and they were real. They didn't notice they were puppeteers making them move and talk. And that makes more difference anyway. It was the magic of Jim's puppetry. And that's the way it should be. So there you go. I gotta move this thing here. There you go. And that makes more sense because, you see, I saw this woman, this whole girl, and of course, this Kermit character. When I talked about this during my book reviews on my main channel, go check it out. And he was like, Cookie Monster. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It was so funny, but you know. Yeah, and it's all happening. So, the next page I haven't talked about during book reviews on my main channel. So there you go. I almost said comic book reviews. But you know, it makes sense anyway. But it's the rest is history. So I'll talk about more about this in comic books. I'm on chapter 8 right now. So if you want to get, I'll continue to do more about Jim Henson's Biography by Brian J. Jones on comic book reviews coming away on my main channel very, very soon. Be patient, Dad, if you're watching this. So, there you go. Muppet Show, which performed here in 1936 and ran for 5 seasons, proved the Muppets were for people of all ages, not just for little kids. Wow. Each episode featured Muppets and the celebrity guests doing Muppet musical ads and silly skits. Just like the variety shows Jim watched when he was young. At the center of this chaos was the show's host, Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, and the grubby audience members started the war off. Quickly became the fan favorites. Wow. The Muppets wanted to hit on TV. Soon they also became movie stars. And that's the way it should be in any way. And that's how celebrities look like in the various days become from the Muppet characters in any way. So there you go. Okay, very hilarious. Next page. Anyways, oh my god, here we go. In this one part of the page. Here we go. And that's where taking my area to now. This page. Anyway, taking the Muppets from the TV screen to the big screen seemed like an impossible challenge. But Jim believed in his dream. He and his team worked for the magic to have the Muppets ride bikes, driving cars, and soaring through the sky in the 1979 film, The Muppet Movie. And that's the way it should be. So there you go. It wasn't easy. Okay, come on. Gabba. Needs to stand up. Okay, there we go. Perfect. It needs to stay like that. There we go. It wasn't easy. The show Kermit singing the Rainbow Connection. Jim has to squeeze into a tank ending on the war. Good enough. But it wasn't worth it. Audience have all of all ages love the movie, and that's the way it should be anyway. And I was living in Savannah, Georgia the whole life. We just Jim taped this, by the way. And I was born and raised in 1995, so he would have been alive today if I was here to say hey to Jim. But anyway, coming up again, we'll go on to star and many more films. And that made more sense anyway. So there you go on that, folks. Okay. Next page. Anyways, when Jim's children were young, they often joined him on set in the shows and films. Okay? By 1980, they were working alongside their father as assistants, puppet builders, and performers. Jim treasured these times with his childhood family. And that's what it should be. His teenage daughter Cheryl helped come up with the story of the 1982 movie The Dark Crystal. For this fantasy film, Jim didn't hire any actors at all. Instead, he and his team created a diverse cast of puppets. Full-body puppets, hard puppets, and investigating new puppets that could move and change expressionations by remote control. These animatronic puppets were built as Jim Henson's creature shop, where incredible puppets are still being made today. And that's the way it should be for Jim Henson's characters' realizations in any ways. There you go on that. Next page goes like this. In 1983, Jim returned to children's television with a show called Fraggle Rock. Okay? It features characters called Fraggles who love to dance their cares away. Tiny hard workers, dozers, and giant gorgs. Jim hoped the program would teach children that all creatures can live together peacefully, and that's the way it should be anyway. A scene in the film The Muppets Take Manhattan in 1984 that shows several characters as babies inspired Jim to create an animated television show. Muppet Babies featured a young version of Kermit and his friends having imaginative adventures in the nursery. Good enough. The show kept kids smiling on Saturday mornings for 8 seasons. Wow. And that's what it should be anyway. So there you go for Kermit and his friends being as babies. So there you go. That was all there anyway. So that's all between that and Fraggle Rock. And these next pages goes like this, okay? We're going to another talented artist, and this is almost done anyway. Made Jim happy. He asked George Lucas, creator of Star Wars, to be a producer of this musical fantasy film, Labyrinth. Jim had to help design the Yoda puppet for George's film, The Empire Strikes Back, and which I did not know at the time. Okay, until now. Okay? And Jim gave musician David Bowie the starring role of the Goblin King. And another multi-talented artist in the team was Jim's son, Brian. He voiced one of the main characters, Hogel. Wow, okay. Jim loved the stories that led to his television series, The Storyteller. Wow, okay. The award-winning show featured, come on, really? Featured humans and puppets retelling classic folk tales and legends. And once again, Brian Henson voiced several characters, including the Storyteller's doll. Okay. Brian was always inspired by his father's storytelling, just as Jim has administrated his own father's stories. And that's what it should be in any way. And that makes more sense, so there you go with that, folks. Last bit of the book says this. Jim Henson passed away just 36 years ago yesterday, May 16th, 1990. He always said he wanted to leave the world a better place, and he certainly did. His imagination forever changed the art of puppetry. His characters have inspired people of all ages to create, believe, and dream. His children who continue to run their father's company has ensured that his magic of Jim Henson will always be in happiness to bring happiness to the planet. And that's the way it should be in any way. So, Jim Henson will always be missed by all of us. 36 years ago, yes. Come on. Really? Stand up. Anyway, he will be missed by all of us 36 years ago yesterday. So there you go. So it's Jim Henson Biography. We'll go book release. Biography. I think it was amazing. Despite some hiccups and difficulties on my end, but I'm sorry, folks, but I don't want to read the book and also we have difficulties on my end. But over that, so far this book was a success. And by some hiccups I have made and difficulties on my end. But anyway, Battle of Bedtime Stories, episode number 857. Hope you enjoyed. So it's going to be another Bedtime Stories, episode number 858, which will be about the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Search for SquarePants, which I not watched yet, but I'll watch it tomorrow after I get home from work, do a lunchtime episode. It's called How to Be a Swashbuckler. Mark Hamill's the Flying Dutchman, and of course, he's also the Skeleton King. The Skeleton King on Super Mario Monkey Team Marvel Force Go, and he was Luke Skywalker on the Star Wars series. So until next time, now I'm assuming I gotta get ready for check my exploit, and now for this, I get ready for bed. Cause after this is over, I get ready for work next day, and I get ready for watch this movie, and gotta get ready for lunchtime episode, and so on. Now, until next time, so Jarvis Babu, we're moving out. See ya.